this is why she earned brat as a descriptor this summer. 100%.
And there's our cold open right there. Welcome to Millennial, the home of pretend adulting and real talk. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Kamala.
It is Tuesday night, and we're recording later than we normally do because the presidential debate between Trump and Harris is actually still airing, but we are going to jump into our episode anyway to react because we've been watching a good hour of it, and I think we've seen enough.
An hour and a half, honestly.
Yeah.
Which is how long it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I think it's 90 minutes without the 2 commercial breaks that they're taking. So it's a long one, but I think we all certainly feel better about this debate than we did the last debates.
Yes. Breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Did you see, I'm not joking, that Biden said earlier today he's doing 9/11 tomorrow?
Oh, God.
On camera, he said that. So this is why we had to let him go. Okay, everybody, this is why.
That and the whole "we killed Medicare" comment during the one and only debate he did this time. I'm really, really glad that we are where we are now. I feel a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of notes here. We're just going to kind of raw dog this episode and react to various moments. Did you two watch with like a drink or anything, by the way?
I didn't because I was getting a little sleepy beforehand and I was worried that I was going to like nod off before it started.
Oh.
So, but I did watch while I was having dinner.
What did you have, Laura?
I had things.
Oh, things.
Yeah, things.
Fun.
That's all we got to say.
So bad she can't even say them on the podcast.
That's right. I'm such a
baddie.
badass.
I didn't have a drink because we were going to podcast.
Oh, very responsible of you.
Well, I mean, it's all about moderation, Andrew.
Yeah,
I
too
knew that we were going to podcast, so I just moderated my vices.
I see. See, if I have a drink while watching the debate, I'm just going to want to. I will have a difficult time stopping because Trump is just going to make me want to.
Like one drink turns into 2, turns into 5.
Yeah. The rules around this debate were pretty similar to the last one, right? No audience, muted mics when they weren't supposed to be speaking, and the moderators were asking questions. I think it was pretty well handled by the 2 correspondents from ABC News.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that they were fact checking in real time in certain cases.
That
I think that adds so much context, even though Trump was rebuttaling at every turn, every step. But I think it's important for the general public to hear that pushback.
Yeah.
Well, and it's something that we haven't gotten from other news networks when they're hosting these debates. CNN is one of the worst ones. I mean, they're right up there with Fox in terms of caring more about viewers and, Nielsen scores and advertisers than they actually care about like the integrity of the work that they're doing. And I was really pleased to see that ABC was like, no, we're going to fact check throughout this. And when he says some batshit insane stuff, we're not going to make a huge deal out of it. We're going to bring it up, but we're going to keep moving. And we're going to brush him off like the child that he fucking is.
Right. I think one of my favorite moments from the night was when Trump was talking about being able to get an abortion after the baby is born or even up to 9 months, which of course is completely outrageous. It's shocking he doubles down on this nonsense. And so at the end of this rant, of which he had many tonight, Lindsay Davis, one of the 2 debate moderators, just looked at him point blank and said, there's no state where that's legal. And she's just said it so flatly and matter of factly. It was just like, yes. That was the first, I think, fact check of the night, and it hit so good.
I know.
Yeah.
I definitely gasped a little bit. I was like, oh, are we doing this? Is it actually happening finally?
This isn't going to be Real Housewives of the White House. This is actually a debate led by real journalists where it's not about the theatrics, to your point earlier, Laura. I just don't even know where to dive. Should we try to go in order?
Yeah. Do we want to start with the handshake?
Ooh, yeah.
At the beginning.
Tell us what happened.
Yeah. So Kamala Harris strides out confidently, walks around the stage as though she's expecting to shake hands with Trump. He walks straight to his podium, makes no eye contact with her.
Cuties, ew.
She still inserts herself, holds out her hand, and says, "I'm Kamala Harris," and makes him shake hands with her. And I was like, fuck yeah. This is why she earned brat as a descriptor this summer. 100%.
And there's our cold open right there.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and fun fact about that, and I think this is the reason she said specifically, I'm Kamala Harris, they actually have never met before in person. Now, that would have happened if Trump had accepted the results of the 2020 election, but he did not, and the two, the outgoing party and the incoming party, did not meet. So I think that was a nod to that as well, and it was excellent. She stepped well onto his side of the stage while he scrambled straight to his podium.
What a power move.
Yeah. And she had so many great lines tonight. One of my favorites from early on in the debate, they're talking about the economy. And I don't even remember what kind of word salad answer he was giving. This man, on any question, he would bounce back and forth between Ukraine and Russia and immigrants flooding into the country and eating our pets. And I mean, he literally said that. So he's just like giving us this like unintelligible babble. And she did such a great job throughout of just looking at him with an expression that basically reiterated, this is an unserious man.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved how, without skipping a beat, he finished his word salad. She turned and looked directly at the at the moderators and said, "So Donald Trump has no plan for you." So she had so many great moments like that tonight. I will say in the beginning she seemed a little nervous, but I mean, who wouldn't be? To be honest, yeah. I feel like she really came into her stride once they got about 20 minutes in.
Yeah, I did notice that too. It kind of seemed like she was maybe like a little short on breath in the first few minutes, just because she was a little nervous. And I can completely understand that, considering she is only standing there because of how the last debate went. And now this is her chance to truly tell the left and this country, like, this is why I wanted to step in. This is why I took the nomination, and I want to make you proud. So the stakes were so high.
Yeah. And I think she also knows that a bad performance could just completely take the momentum that they've accrued over the course of these last few weeks straight out of their sails. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like the wind could just be knocked straight out of there and they would lose all that footing that they've been doing such a good job of keeping.
And the expectations game is always really challenging in a debate like this, because the expectations for Donald Trump's performance tonight were in hell. So you couldn't get any lower. And when you have low expectations for how someone's going to perform during a debate, the stakes aren't as high for them, because as long as they come out on stage and don't fall flat on their face, they're going to do better than expected usually. For Kamala Harris, the expectations were really high. So not only was she having to introduce herself for the first time to a lot of Americans who were probably just seeing her tonight for the first time, she's having to exceed the expectations of the very high bar that's been set for her.
Yeah. Getting back to that eating pets line.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
The ABC News moderators fact-checked him there as well. David Muir said that the city manager of Springfield, Illinois, where the pets are allegedly being eaten, said there were no actual reports of pets being eaten by immigrants. And Trump was like, well, we're going to look into it. And then
no, he said that he heard about it on TV.
Oh, right.
He's like, that's not what I heard on TV. And then he was like, well, I'm not going off of TV. I'm going off of what the city's saying.
David Muir said that. Yeah. But I think Trump also added that we're going to look into it. And then I was suddenly just picturing like Rudy Giuliani being sent to Springfield in Illinois to investigate the pet eating.
It's just like, you know,
Rudy Giuliani seems like he would eat pets, if I'm being totally honest.
You know,
what was melting out of his hair
mentality too is like, it's such racist rhetoric, which is basically all his platform is built upon, but it just does not help matters in the long run when you think about like how dangerous potentially it could be for Trump to be back holding the highest, you know, position in office. It's incredibly racist to bring up immigrants specifically eating your cats and dogs, which is like a fear tactic that has been used for decades.
Yeah. And then Harris pivoted beautifully out of that moment. She took one of the weirdest, wildest things Trump said tonight and said, you see this? You see how he's acting? This is why I've received the endorsements of hundreds of Republicans. And it was just perfect because it was like, look at this person who's been nominated on the right. A lot of people in your own party, for reasons like this, are voting for me instead. So I just thought that was a perfect place for her to slot that in.
Yeah. Name checking Dick Cheney in particular, too, was such a flex. Like, he's an evil, evil man, but that's still a huge power
we
move.
hate too. Yeah,
exactly.
Broken
it's
clock
huge
is
to
right
drop his name in there. Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to admire the Cheneys for putting country over party.
Of course.
You know, anyone who does that is someone that I can like see myself having a negotiation with, you know? And I think that's really important for Americans to see right now, that like, hey, a lot of us don't agree on a lot of things, but I think we do agree that we don't want our country to become a dictatorship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be a space for everyone to meet in the middle, which is why, you know, it's so important when you look at the grand scheme of things, people saying you should cut off, you know, like relatives, friends that don't share the same political beliefs as you do. It's like, well, sometimes it's actually better to keep those people in your lives in the hopes that you can change their minds along the way, you know, because you got to move the needle at some point.
Yeah.
You got to, you know, the needle has to move if it's a reasonable person.
I'm dying to know what's happening right now because Mark is still watching in the other room and he just
can you hear his reaction
into hysterical laughter.
He's listening to Millennial.
Breaking news. CNN just called Trump's performance a 4chan post come to life.
Whoa.
Wow. Do you want to repeat that?
Did y'all hear that? Yeah. CNN just called Trump's performance a 4chan post come to life.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah.
The debate has ended now, too. So I guess.
Okay. So
they
about
are
20
reacting.
minutes after they said.
Okay. Bye, Kornacki. He goes, I'm going to go back to my board.
Another choice line from Trump was they were talking about abortion, and he said, I have been a leader on IVF fertilization. What?
I feel like
he wanted to remind people what it was.
Yeah, he squeezed that in because he knows that Tim Walz is just like strolled in and you know, obviously like nobody can say that somebody is a bigger proponent of IVF than a man who has directly seen how that has affected his family. I just kind of feel like he was waiting to slot that in so that they could, you know, try and get on even footing with the campaign.
The thing is with Trump, when he says a lot of people didn't know that, or he like explains something like this, IVF fertilization, what he's really saying is, I did not know what IVF meant or stood for.
Yeah.
I did not know this. I did not know that. When he says many people don't know that. That's his tell. So stupid.
I also love how Harris really kind of laid traps for him throughout this debate. I mean, there were multiple points where you could see her taking very diligent notes while he was speaking, and she regarded him like a very stern teacher who's very disappointed in the student that she's talking to. And she would just, instead of trying to go on the attack, she just let him tell on himself. And then she'd be like, oh yeah, immigration, let's talk about how you single-handedly killed the immigration bill that we would have gotten passed, the most conservative immigration bill in a long time. By the way, you killed that.
Oh.
I just love how she did that. I love how he stumbled into the Afghanistan trap in the first half of the debate. She was smiling when that happened. And I was like, oh boy, I can't wait for this to come back, because this fucking idiot just set himself up to have the world be reminded that, hey, that was all your negotiation.
Right.
Is incredible.
The smiles and, what she did this, I think, at one moment too, or something like this. It's funny because, like, in the moment when I'm watching that all live, it's good, but I don't really see it as like internet meme material. But then I go on Twitter during the commercial break and everybody's already got 1,000 versions of those reactions that she had looking at Trump. And they all just look so good online. I can't help but wonder if those were, kind of, she was purposely doing those for the internet. And yet she made them look so natural. Yeah.
100%. She was totally doing it for the memes. But what I will say is interesting about Kamala Harris is if you go back and look at other debates she's done in the past, not even on the national stage, but like back when she was running for DA in San Francisco, she's really good at just waiting and letting her opponent talk themselves into a corner so that she can then be like, gotcha, bitch.
Yeah.
So
I've got to be the prosecutor in her, to your
100%.
point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell too by the way that she even frames a lot of her points as well. It does give like the allure or it gives off the effect that she, she's in a courtroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments was when Kamala said, I'm going to do something you wouldn't expect me to do or say. I invite viewers to go and attend a Trump rally. And then she brings up how they're sparsely attended and people are so bored that they're leaving early. And then David Muir tries to pivot to immigration, Trump's favorite subject. We saw him talking about it all night, but he couldn't let Kamala's comments about his rallies go. And she knew, her team knew, he would not be able to resist with his small ass ego addressing his crowd sizes. That's his most coveted possession. His family doesn't love him. His wife doesn't love him. His kid doesn't nobody loves him. The people at his rallies love him. So if you come for the attendees of those rallies, forget about it. He's going to spend all his time talking about that. And I just love that she played in to his pathetically small ego.
Well, and that he's still licking his wounds over the fact that Obama brought them up at the DNC as well. So it was,
the hand thing.
Oh man, that was incredible.
Sean, who's listening live right now, has a question. He says, Andrew's camo hat is really throwing me off. Like, is he a Republican? Sean is referring to my recently acquired Harris Walls camouflage hat. Union made, mind you. Look at it. Look at this. It even has the American flag on the back of it.
Wow.
This breaks MAGA brains. I walk around
get
with
more
this.
American than that.
I went into Chick-fil-A with this. And people yelled Trump 2024 at me like I was a Trump fan. I was like, no, look, Harris Walls.
Are you serious?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay, I was listen. I don't know. You had the setting right. You're like, I went into a Chick-fil-A.
I really did walk into Chick-fil-A with this. I wanted to see if anything would happen. Nothing happened. I can't take confrontation. I'm uncomfortable wearing it out on the streets, but I do love this brain-breaking hat. So we have a lot more to talk about concerning today's debate, but first, I'm going to go order Laura and Pam a pair of these hats, and we will be right back. What else do y'all want to talk about?
Well, I guess we have to talk about January 6th.
Oh, or as Trump called it at one point, J6, like it was some fucking sporting event. He said that way too easily. That should be a big tell.
Yeah. I mean, David Muir straight up asked him, do you regret anything that you did on January 6th? Then is there anything you would have done differently? And Trump, again, his favorite pivot point is to talk about immigration. So he's like, well, why are we talking about people at the Capitol when there are millions of illegals pouring over our borders? That's the big problem. He, of course, had to mention Ashley Babbitt, which again is that is a story that I think has been uh, raked over multiple times, like over and over. It's clear that that was a really sad story, but this was a Capitol police officer who had hundreds of people trying to break into an area of the Capitol. And after telling them to stop, some of them didn't. January 6th was a tragedy. And the fact that he can't say that is very telling.
Well, he still doubled down on the fact that there were good people there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why at this point we're surprised, but it is just insane to me that he can't just let that go at least for the better of his own campaign. It just seems like it's not worth it at this point. Like really, because really what he should be doing if he were smart, if his campaign was smarter, they would be kind of pivoting towards middle America because his psycho fanatics are going to vote for him anyway. He doesn't need to pander to them anymore. He has to pander to the votes he doesn't have. And being rational about that, saying like, yeah, like they were giving him the opportunity, to your point, to say, I wish I would have done this. That
the
would have
moderators followed up. I think two
they
times
asked him a number
after
of
the initial
times.
question.
Yeah. I mean, like, can you imagine how far that could have gone?
Yeah. And he
for
basically
him?
said no regrets.
He's an idiot and he has too much pride.
He never wants to upset his existing base. So that's why he can't say, I wish I did something on January 6th differently. Even just say, I wish I issued a statement earlier. Like, what's so hard to say about that? Because as the moderators brought up, it took him 2 hours after the attack on the Capitol. As we all remember, it took 2 hours for him to release a video message. And as was reported, he was sitting in the White House in a room watching it all unfold on television because he enjoyed it. He loved seeing the backlash. It was perfect for the message he was trying to get out there.
Yeah. But also, like, have to commend Kamala for reminding everybody that she was there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I think it's easy to forget that she was, because so many people were. I think that was probably one of her most powerful moments, just reminding everybody that she was there and she saw firsthand how terrifying it was to see the Capitol under attack, and also gave her a fantastic way to insert her campaign slogan, "We're not going back."
Yeah.
She did that very subtly, but smart of her to slip that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. And honestly, I feel like they could have hit him a lot harder on January 6th. But to be honest, they were having a hard time getting through the debate on the time frame they wanted, I think, because even though they had these rules in place and mics were muted, Trump interrupted pretty consistently throughout. And a lot of times they would give him the floor to let him speak, even though he was interrupting a question or going off topic or just straight up not answering a question.
Yeah, if I had one criticism about how the debate was run, I would say that they were giving Trump too many chances to respond after they were trying to move on. Trump would just start talking, even with the mic muted, and then they would actually give him a chance to talk. Now, on one hand, if they didn't allow him to do that, which, by the way, Harris was not doing as often, she may not have done it at all, come to think of it. If they didn't let him do that, tonight, tomorrow, he'd be on Truth Social talking about how it was so unfair. He wanted to say more. So at least by giving him that opportunity, he has less of an argument there. But still, I wish that either they gave Harris more opportunities to respond, especially with all the accusations that he was leveling at her, and that they gave him slightly fewer chances to do that whenever he wanted to speak.
Maybe it was good, though. They gave him, well, I don't know if this is the right way to describe it, but it's an idiom. They gave him enough rope to hang himself, right? Like, that might have been part of what was going on to really allow voters to see the contrast between their choices.
True.
And the contrast was real clear.
Kamala did have a couple of great lines that I wanted to call out. She said, not everyone is handed $400 million on a silver platter and then files bankruptcy 6 times. Even Trump laughed at that one.
Yeah.
And speaking of Trump laughing at a good line, she also said Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people and he's having a hard time processing that.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was perfect. I also just wish she turned and just said, are you okay? This portion of the debate brought to you by BetterHelp.
I was just thinking.
It's so true, though. And that's such a great line because for anybody who doesn't know, like I think most people know. Many people don't know this. His big line on the Apprentice reality TV series was "You're fired." So to any of our foreign listeners, maybe they don't know that, but that was just so perfect.
He kind of tried to lean on that when she mentioned multiple people who are high up in Republican politics who used to work with him but no longer want to work with him and don't have very nice things to say about him now. He really tried to invoke that by being like, well, yeah, they were mean to me because I fired them.
So there's another opportunity where I wish Harris tried to get a response in after that. Why not say, well, you're the one who hired all those people that you had to fire, right? So what does that say about your judgment that you have to fire so many people? We haven't fired anybody in our administration because we're hiring competent people who know what we're doing. Just say that. Boom.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Maybe I feel like there was a lot that she could have said that she didn't need to say.
Yeah. I mean, and it's impossible to address every little thing that he is saying. And that's always his strategy. It's like throw as much at the wall as you can in 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and hope that they can't hang on for the ride, which is basically what happened with Biden a couple months ago.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts was when he was claiming that he would end the wars in Gaza and Ukraine before even being sworn in. So as soon as he's president-elect, he's going to get all those guys on the phone and be like, knock it off.
Yeah.
And they're going to do a ceasefire on everything before he's even sworn into office. He's that powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, though, I'd be like, then do it now.
Yeah.
As a show of faith. Even when he was president, they brought in Bill Clinton to go negotiate for some hostages. It's not like former presidents can't still do things,
Mm-hmm.
If he has that much power, then do it.
Well, it's just like with the immigration bill. He doesn't want to hand over any wins under a Harris or Biden administration. And then there was that one moment where he was talking about inviting the Taliban to Camp David. And he was like, I showed Abdul a picture of his house. And Abdul was like, why are you showing me a picture of my house? And I was like, well, why don't you figure it out yourself? I was like, wait, did he just tell us he threatened to bomb Abdul's house if he was a naughty boy while at Camp David? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Invite the Taliban to Camp David and try to make a deal with them. A very well-known and prolific terror group. And expect them to deliver on those promises. Like,
I showed him a picture of his house and I got the deal done.
Imagine if the roles were reversed and Abdul had showed Trump a picture of the White House.
Oh my God. At Camp David.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just, it's not funny, but it kind of is, because it's, I don't know.
It's so ridiculous.
It is.
Excellent way to negotiate with terrorists, Donald. Good work.
Oh man. He also had, and I mean, this doesn't really matter. It just made me giggle. He's started pronouncing the word terror differently? Did you guys notice this? There was this point where he
No.
was talking about acts of terror and he was like, horrible terror. I was like, what are you doing? And he repeated it like over and over and over again. I thought that Harris also bringing up the fact that she's had multiple military leaders tell her that he's a disgrace, saying, you know, world leaders are laughing at him because he's so ridiculous. You can tell that kind of thing really got under his skin, along with like talk of his crowds and everything else. So,
yeah. And then I started having flashbacks to the debate with Hillary because the way he responds to comments like military leaders have told me you are a disgrace is by turning to Kamala and saying, no, they tell me you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. Just like that petty response. That's just like, it's right out of a school playground. Like, he has nothing good to say, but no, they told me you're stupid times infinity.
Mm-hmm. I have a little breaking news, which is like so not as big of a deal in hindsight. But for anybody that's curious, Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala Harris officially.
Oh, good.
That is breaking news. Wait, where?
On Instagram. She says, like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and the stance that these candidates take on topics that matter to you the most. As a voter, I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies and plans for the country. And she also brings up, it's a long statement, but she does bring up the AI stuff that Donald Trump used against her, and then concludes saying that she's casting her vote for Kamala and Tim Walz.
She also signed it with love and hope, Taylor Swift, childless cat lady.
Yeah. Love. And her good pictures of her with Benjamin Button, her cat.
She did it, y'all. This is what we've been waiting for. And look at that. Taylor's all about the timing, doing it right after the debate.
This was really smart timing.
Mm-hmm.
She has a plan.
I am so excited that this happened while we were recording.
Me too.
I hear the emotion in your voice, Pam. You were waiting for this, weren't you?
I was like, I can't screw up reading this. Oh, no.
I can't let my girl down.
My sources were telling me that she had just posted. I was like, I gotta interrupt. This is a big moment.
No, it's really good for her too, because I know the internet has been really rough on her the last few days. So,
and I will say too, I honestly didn't expect her to endorse until after she had done the rest of her tours, most of her tour stops in America, because they had that horrible scare in Vienna with the terrorist threat. And, you know, she came out during her concert and said that, you know, silence is strength, and that she doesn't ever want to put the people that come to her shows in a position where they could potentially be threatened or violence could ensue. And at the time when she said that, I thought, okay, that's this is important. And that probably means she's going to hold off until quite close to election day to come out and endorse Harris. I never thought she wasn't going to, because she had endorsed Biden and Harris the last time. And she was very much pro Harris particularly. But yeah, this is fantastic timing. And yeah, maybe now people can just let her be.
Leave her alone
a little bit, because this kind of shows that there was always a plan to do it at the right time. And this is a great time. So,
and I don't want any Taylor Swift haters listening to this and rolling their eyes. Why are you talking about this? Who cares? This woman is so incredibly influential. It might be impossible to even put a number or aptly describe her power. This is a very, very big deal. And even if you don't like her music or anything that she does, love this. This is going to move the needle. I strongly believe that.
And she has also proven that she gets young people out to vote. Despite endorsements aside, the last time she pointed people to check their voting registration and to register to vote, they saw a massive uptick in people registering as a direct result of her just saying, hey, voting is important. Please go register to vote. That's a huge deal. So even if it's just pointing people in that direction, and you know, I appreciate that she laid out her own opinion, but I think that it was also very smart of her to say that she does her own research and she wants other people to do it too. So that's a great line to walk, especially for people that are maybe still in the middle or undecided.
Yeah. Well said.
It's
All right, well,
incredible.
back to the debate.
Anyway.
By the way, I mentioned that Taylor signed it, Childless Cat Lady. I ordered the Childless Dog Lady shirt, which now feels dated. I feel like it needs to say Childless Dog Lady who doesn't eat dogs or something like that. But I still haven't gotten it yet. I even got an email from the Harris campaign saying, hey, sorry that it's taking so long.
I tried right after you told us you had bought that merch. I went to try and buy it and it was already sold out.
Yeah, same.
Even the mugs too. I don't know how you got there, like how you got in so fast.
Because I sit here at my computer doing nothing all day, and except
You got to
looking
text
at
us
Twitter.
next time and be like, "Now's the time. Do you guys want in?"
I can't believe
The
this
Sims
hat
effect.
came
Or I
in
could
so
just Venmo
quick.
you.
This hat, they were telling me like late September for this hat. It came in a month earlier than expected, and it's great. It's embroidered. It's beautiful. Union made. Have I mentioned that? Yes, I did.
It
All right.
definitely looks like something Tim Walz would wear. Like,
I'm pretty sure
And
he's
he
worn
is.
I think he's worn this
Yeah.
exact hat, and
Yep.
at least the camo hat. All right, well, let's take one more break. I'm going to go buy all 8,000 variants of Taylor Swift's latest album to celebrate her endorsement news, and we'll be right back. Pat has texted me a screenshot of MSNBC tonight. Breaking news, Taylor Swift endorses Harris for president while Matt Al is interviewing Walls.
Wow.
That's
Her
incredible.
power. Her power.
Her power.
So what other points do we want to hit on before we wrap up?
I feel like he was definitely starting to struggle towards the end. I mean, he was incoherent throughout, but it definitely got worse towards the end, which I thought was very telling that in the last debate, he didn't get called out for that, only because Biden just seemed worse than he did. But I feel like it's pretty clear that we are looking at some cognitive issues going on with Trump as well. And I think that's another way that the choice couldn't be clearer
And
between the
that's
two of them.
that's another reason why it was great that Biden did step down, because once he did, suddenly Trump's issues become very, very clear. Against Biden, he was looking great. In this debate tonight, Trump is the one with the cognitive decline, while Kamala has a strong voice, is coherent, all of that through the entire debate.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like he was falling asleep the entire time
Yeah.
up there. His eyes
Yeah.
were like closing and really narrow, and he was slouching.
He would look up like every few minutes too. I noticed like he was trying to like get a message up to God, like, please have her collapse or something. Get me out of this.
Honestly, I kept waiting for him to like storm off the stage, especially when he was like, I think she should go down to Washington because we're wasting so much time here.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
That was his out.
Yeah.
Kamala, what do you think? Let's head down to DC, get some wolf spritzers at the bar, and we'll go fix this country together. Yeah, he couldn't answer any question directly at all. And I really hope people who are on the fence about who to vote for notice that. There was that softball question about, do you want Ukraine to win the war? He couldn't even answer that. There were so many softball questions that he could have easily just said yes to and moved on and maybe upset some people in his base. But that's what you got to do as a politician. But like I said earlier, he just cannot upset anybody who loves him. He can't. He's so afraid of pissing off any of those people, because those people on the right, I mean, they do come out, MAGA Republicans, they come out pretty strong when you piss them off.
Well, he needs every single one of those bodies at his next rally. So
Yeah.
He also doesn't want to piss off Putin.
Mm-hmm.
Is
his
the other
bestie.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Even though he's going to call him up and say, stop it right now.
right.
Stop it right now.
So how are we feeling about the race? now, y'all.
I'm feeling good. I was nervous going into the debate, as I
Me
always
too.
am with these debates. You know, this is such high stakes. Tens of millions of people watch these things. And I can't wait to see how many people watch this compared to the Biden one.
Yeah.
Presumably, the ratings are going to be bigger. I'm feeling good. I think Harris did as good as I was expecting, if not better than I was expecting. I think Trump performed exactly how we expected him to. We've seen the same song and dance for 8 years now. There was nothing new or interesting about it. So, and I'm feeling even better after Taylor moved the needle tonight.
I know. She got the
Yeah.
Swift bump.
I still think it's going to be close, but I think that this was good for Kamala, because I think we all kind of knew that this was a big moment for her, and she showed grace under pressure again. Not that we would have doubted that, but she had some really great responses to a lot of these questions. I was also I always like to follow along on PolitiFact too, because they do the live fact checking.
Yeah.
And they did they did, and rightfully so, point out that there were a couple of moments where she could have added more context, but for the most part, I mean, she didn't really misstep, so that's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next debate will be between Walz and Vance and is scheduled for Tuesday, October 1st in New York City. Harris and Trump haven't agreed to another debate. We'll see if they will. There's still about 2 months to go.
He's
So
not
it's-
gonna.
You don't think so? That's your prediction
No.
tonight? Okay.
I don't think he'll agree to another one.
Yeah. Well, we'll have that Walz and Vance one to look forward to in just
I can't
under
wait.
a month.
Me too.
Yeah.
Walz is definitely going to drop a couch joke, right?
Let's hope so. I don't know. That might
He's
be
kinda
too good
feisty.
to be true.
I feel like you might.
Yeah. Well, Harris had that one line a few weeks ago. Was it her? No. It was Elizabeth Warren. I wouldn't even let him move my couch.
Yeah.
Something like that. If it's something really subtle like that, I think that's great. So we'll be back to our normal recording schedule next week. We wanted to do this special episode focused on the debate to get our reactions out basically in real time. You can join us for live streams every Tuesday night on Patreon starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And by the way, tonight's episode will be the first episode that we're releasing on video on YouTube. Patrons get the full unedited live stream, including After Dark on video. But starting this week, the main show will be released in video form, all polished up on YouTube. So check out Millennial on YouTube. And Laura, what's coming up in After Dark this week?
So we're actually going to be extending this conversation a little bit to talk about our election strategies as we're approaching. We are just under 2 months until the election, believe it or not. I think these next couple months are going to feel very long. So we're going to be talking about things like whether or not we're voting in person or by mail, whether we're paying attention to media coverage and polls, what our election night plans are. Election night is on a Tuesday, which is also when Millennial records. So we're going to be thinking about brainstorming some ideas for what might be happening with the Millennial crew. No promises. No promises. We'll see how unhinged it gets. But it should be a good discussion. I know I have some thoughts about how I want to protect my sanity over the next couple of months that I'm excited to talk about with y'all.
I have some news to share with you two that I haven't shared yet about my election week that I'm excited about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
After Dark is part of Mega Millennial, which you get every week when you're a patron or Apple Podcast subscriber. It is also ad-free because we prefer your support over working with advertisers. Visit patreon.com/millennial to pledge today, and Spotify users will find a banner at the top of our show page to access the Patreon. Or Apple Podcast users can tap into the show and subscribe to the Mega Millennial feed.
Other Patreon benefits include recording studio access, monthly variety shows, access to our planning meetings, and lots more. It's easy to get started. Apple Podcasts and Patreon offer 7-day free trials and an annual subscription discount.
Time for some recommendations. Laura, what do you got for us?
So we are getting into the fall here in the United States. And I just wanted to remind everyone to get your updated flu and COVID shots if you are able. I just got my flu shot this morning. No biggie. And I'll be doing my COVID shot in a couple of weeks.
I need to do that. When I got COVID a few weeks ago, I was like, I'm done with this shit. I need those new vaccines. I don't want it anymore.
I like to wait till October, but I'll be doing it at the beginning of October.
Well, what else are you doing around this time of year?
I'm getting into all the pumpkin flavors as all the good people are. So Trader Joe's is like completely unleashed fall in their stores. And I had this last year. I feel like this is like one of their mainstays. They have this pumpkin spice cold brew concentrate that I love. It's $8. And when they say concentrate, they mean concentrate. Don't be like me and think that you should add a little bit more. Like you should probably just follow the instructions on the bottle. But yeah, it's really good. It's got like, these like little like notes of cinnamon and ginger and nutmeg. And it's still pretty hot out here in the Bay Area in September and parts of October. So it's nice to just have this on hand in the fridge because I'm still drinking iced coffee. I still want a nice cold beverage to get me started in the morning. And yeah, I highly recommend this if you shop at Trader Joe's and you haven't tried it yet.
Well, we all need some fun over the next couple of months. And there's been this card game on my radar that I finally played over the last week. It's called Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza. And this is a very simple card game. You and your friends take turns saying taco, cat, goat, cheese, pizza, and you're each flipping over one of the cards in your hand at the same time you say one of these 5 words. Once someone's flipped card matches the word they are saying in the rotation, everyone has to slap the discard pile in the middle, and the last person to slap the pile takes all the cards in the discard pile. And if you flinch when it's not the right time to slap, you have to take all the cards too. So it's high stakes and very tense, but a lot of fun. The first person to get rid of all of their cards in their hand wins the game. And as an added twist, there are a couple other animal cards to throw you off in the deck, and you have to act like them. Like there's a gorilla, so you have to pound your chest before slapping the deck. It's so stupid, but fun. And as a bonus, they actually have a Halloween edition of the deck. So if you're looking for a fun game to play around Halloween, maybe at a Halloween party, check out Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza. It's so stupid, but so fun.
That sounds good. It makes me want goat cheese pizza, though. Have you ever had that?
Ooh, yeah.
No.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
It's the perfect appetizer for a party featuring taco, cat, goat, cheese, pizza.
All right, pals. Well, it is time to give you a few reminders before we wrap up here. Make sure you're following the show in your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. And be sure to leave us a review in Apple Podcasts and or Spotify.
To stay in touch with us, email millennialshow@gmail.com or visit millennialshow.com. While you're there, you'll also find links to all of our various social media channels, so please do give us a follow on those. Spotify users can also leave feedback directly within an episode.
After Dark starts in a moment for patrons and Apple Podcast subscribers. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Pamela.
Bye, everyone.
We did it, Joe.